core value system, which is the acronym HEAL. That stands for Holistic Health, Mind, Body, and Spirit. E stands for Economic and Entrepreneurship. A stands for Academic Success. And L stands for Leader Development. So what our goal is to do is to make sure they are academically, socially, and emotionally sound individuals.
Kingdom Kids has made a big impact on all three of my children. I have a 5-year-old that's reading very well, can express his emotions. Which is really big. I have an 11-year-old who was having problems with ADHD, focusing in the traditional school, and now he's here. We appreciate the one-on-one Miss Tanisha has for our children.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we don't just teach. Our goal is to build future leaders.
Hi, I am Zoe, and I am a graduate from Kingdom Kids. I enjoyed and loved the program so much to the point where I come back on my free time and volunteer.
We believe every child is born with greatness. We believe every kid has a quirk. At Kingdom Kids, our goal is to empower them to soar and reach it.
If you're ever looking for a place that your child can be wholesome, the child can be who they are, and the teacher can meet them where they are, I truly would say Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we're looking for families like you. Will you join us? Hey y'all, I am back. It's been 2 weeks, I think, but we are back here live, break free with T. Marie. Today, y'all, I'm going to talk about a topic that I think is very pivotal, it's very necessary. It's change. Right now, I have my staff, yes, I said staff, reading Who Moved My Cheese, which is a book all about, you guessed it, change. So here we go. It is me, T. Marie, back after a 2-week much-needed break. I am your visionary, your edupreneur, your entrepreneur, CEO of Impact Child Behavioral Services, Inc., head of school and founder of Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, and CEO of Soul Stable LLC. Now, as always, you know I'm going to tend to my notes, but I wanted to do something, as always, that's real time. And so, as I mentioned, right now I have my team reading the book Who Moved My Cheese. Real small, real simple. If you haven't read this book, go get it. It's small. I think it's an hour read. My team told me that they got it off of YouTube and just audio listened to it. But it's just a small snippet of what change looks like on sort of a bigger paradigm. So let's walk it through, right? So Who Moved My Cheese is about change. Life happens and change does as well. It just ensues naturally. The question is, how are you going to deal with that thereof, right? Like, how are you going to handle change as it happens in your life? We can go back and we can start thinking and pondering all the things that have happened that have shifted, changed, or just been a dynamic pull, right? And so go back and question, how did you handle that? Now, the book Who Moved My Cheese talks exactly about that. So I'll just go ahead and read this really quickly. You've probably heard of the book, again, Who Moved My Cheese. It's a classic story about two mice. Two mice running through a maze in search of, guess what? Their cheese. The cheese represents your success, security, whatever it is that you're chasing, right? Whatever that thing is that's driving you to. For me, it is to be a successful entrepreneur. Let's take a little pen and stop right there. Your cheese can be several things, right? You could have several pieces of cheese, but for the sake of this, we're going to focus on one thing. For me, it is being successful in my entrepreneurial or business journey. Okay. The cheese represents the success or what have you. But when the cheese gets moved, again, we talked about that shift, right? Every character responds differently. Some resist, some adapt, and some learn to run with courage. That is what this podcast today is going to be about. I am so excited. Before I get into talking about all of this, I've been gone for a minute. Now I'm back with the jump off. I always love to say that. Little Kim, shout out. But anyway, I'm back. It's been a while. Even today, just coming back to work after being gone for 2 weeks on a much needed vacation, just time to clear my mind. I did absolutely nothing. Um, but even that was a change for me because I'm so used to running and running and doing, right? And so it took me a few days to just decompress and not do anything. And then coming back to work, it took me a shift or a mindset change to get back in gear to have to do things. And so I might be a little tired, but it was very important for me to push through. So yes, we need the much needed break. That's a change, and then we need to get back on the horse. That's another change or a shift. Nonetheless, how we handle that, how we move towards that cheese is what this is all about, right? And so I've been kind of reflecting on the story. Tomorrow, my team is going to actually go through and do like a little in service, and we're going to all talk about what that book meant to us. But for today, I'm going to just kind of give everyone else a preview of what it means for me, right? I had to read that book back in grad school. And it was important then, but right now, with all that has happened in life and with the growth of my businesses, right, I'm finding myself in yet another shift or another level of change. And I really wanted to just sit back and ponder my feelings, right? And so, of course, who better to share them feelings with than y'all, my audience, right? So let's talk about that. This is my season of change. I've just talked about it. I got a staff, y'all. If you remember before I took my little break, it was me. I had a few people working for the summer camp, but if we go back to the school year and the school year before that and the school year before that, it was just myself and my daughter. And with my daughter going to school simultaneously, i.e., my school, and working part time, that was super challenging because as much as I needed her help, I also had to be mindful that she's there for school as well. So growth was kind of stifled. Well, no, growth was stifled, right? Because there's only so many children I can bring in knowing I'm the only educator. But not only was I the only educator, I was the admin principal, I was janitor, I took out the garbage, I was lunch lady, right? I was all the things. And then I did paperwork. I made sure, or lack thereof, made sure things were emailed and responded to. I'm not going to say I did a very good job. I did enough. I did enough to get me to this point. But if you strive to do things in at least decency, I'm not going to say excellence, but in decency and in order, I can say that I've dropped the ball on many occasions by not responding in time, by not responding accurately, did the best I could, and thank goodness people have given me grace. But one of the things that I like to pride myself on is having good customer service, particularly because, let's just be fair, I'm a Black woman in business, period. I know you've heard it. We don't always do the best business. We, meaning Black folk. Y'all know I like to keep it real on this show. I'm not sitting here cutting no cards with anyone. We don't always do good business. Our customer service is just, right? Our follow through is just communication. And I'm not saying I've been the best at that, but I do like to be reflective. If something doesn't go right, what could I have done differently? So being introspective and reflective in my nature of doing business is very important to me. I'm not saying I can be all things to all people, but nonetheless, right? So in this season of change, what I knew had to happen, and other people around me knew it as well because they observed me running like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to do all the things for the people that require all the things, right? And so in this season, I had to relinquish that. And what that looked like is that meant hiring a team. And so let me just be open and say, I have, I think, 21 students enrolled between Kingdom Kids and Impact. May not seem a lot, but let's just be honest. We're coming from 6 kids, I think maybe 7, 3 of which being my own last year. So that in and of itself, good marketing, good word of mouth, good customer service brings good word of mouth. Ha ha ha. Let me tell you that again. If you have good customer service, you just listen to people, you take the time, which takes a lot of energy, but is necessary to communicate with people your vision, your mission, your goals. Let them hear your heart, your purpose, and your passion. People will feel you, right? And then some will take a chance to enroll their children in your school. Go figure. So let me just go back. I started my business with one mindset. It is going to get done. And I'm the one that's going to do it. If you have no money to pay a team and you have this purpose and or passion, more so purpose with a hint of passion, right? You got to do it. I was just talking to a gentleman today. He called me out the blue. Small story, but great story. Calls me out the blue. Someone gave him my phone number and he wants to partner with me. Well, I really didn't want to have the conversation, but I obliged him. I think it was the Holy Spirit that allowed me to do so. So I listened to him and he's like, "Yeah, I want to partner with you." And I'm thinking, I don't need a partner for Kingdom Kids. Let's just preface this by saying, I'm not looking for partnership. What I'm saying is I'm already 4 years into having my school. I don't need a partner for Kingdom Kids. Impact maybe. Kingdom Kids, I do not. It's a nonprofit. It doesn't make sense. I can do partnership relationships. I can do programming relationships, but I don't need a partner. You got your own 501c3. I have my own. What are we doing here? He goes on and on and on and on to tell me why he wants to do it. And what I had to explain to him is, you've been trying to do this for 10 years. I've been doing this on purpose for 4 years. Why would I need that? So I had to shift the conversation with him to explain to him that, listen, this is your opportunity to work with someone who's doing it and work with someone who can mentor you and cultivate you. But you're going to have to change your perspective of what this success thing looks like, what launching looks like. You think launching means opening up, jumping out the window and opening up a school. I'm saying, let's take a few steps back, change your mindset. Work alongside me, who's done the things and knocked her head up against the wall and can help you facilitate it so that you don't do and make those same mistakes. Child, he wasn't hearing me for a while, but whatever. Back to what I was saying. I've been the teacher, the administrator, the cleaner, the HR, the department, the marketer, the strategist, all the things, right? And in those days, or in these days, at that time, it made sense. It made sense because I didn't have the money. I didn't have the resources. But then also, sometimes you got to put your best foot forward and you got to find the money, right? Because in order for the business to go further, I was kind of on like a seesaw. So think about this from a business perspective. They say you got to spend money to make money. That's kind of really what this means, right? So if I don't expend the money to get staff, I can't get more students because I become the bottleneck. What's a bottleneck? Business 101. Here's your bottle. Here's the big part of the bottle, right? Here's the neck of the bottle. You pour something in here. If you pour too much, right, it gets stuck right here. That's the bottleneck. I became that bottleneck for myself because at this point, I can only put in X amount of students based on what my capacity was. 6, 5, 8 students, right? Anything above that would relinquish or water down the quality of education. And we don't want that. It's all about quality, not necessarily quantity. However, the quantity allows us to level up, make enough money to create sustainability. So you see what the problem is? I had some quality going, but sustainability was going to be an issue because I didn't have the quantity. So how did I fix that? I had to make some changes. I had to unsqueeze that bottleneck. So, but the vision was mine, the fire was mine. And so I kind of held on to that for a while until I didn't, right? But here's the hard truth. When you insist on being everything, you eventually become, what did I just say? Your own bottleneck. So I kind of skipped above myself, but you get my point. I became my own bottleneck. I knew I went too far. I knew I was going before my notes. So as this business grew, which this year I saw it growing, it grew from us moving into a new facility to me asking God, okay, you gave me this big building. Now I have to feel it to me saying, okay, well, at least my team telling me, my board saying, hey, open up a summer camp. And I was resistant to the summer camp idea. I didn't want to do it, but we needed to maintain revenue stream. And at the same time, we wanted the community to know who we were with less pressure, right? It's kind of pressure to say, hey, take your kid out of a public school where they're paying nothing and bring them to my private school where they now have to pay. Or take them out of the school where they have an opportunity scholarship and this school has been doing the work and making giving you data showing that they're sustainable, to bringing them to my new endeavor, which I think is going to do well, right? Like that sounds great, but you're asking parents to put it on the line for their children's education and their academic success. So I knew that that was a conundrum for a lot of parents. And so opening up the summer camp was strategic. It allowed more parents to have their eyes on what we do and the secret sauce. That is that holistic health, the economic empowerment, the academic success, the leadership. It is meeting children where they are, being whole child focused. It is the social emotional learning aspect, meaning we will give your child a hug if they need that. It is not an anomaly, right? It is not something that is taken out of Kingdom Kids or Impact. On the flip side, showing parents at the Impact School that they don't have to choose ABA or going to the school and getting EC education. They can get both. But we had to prove that. And so they got to see it firsthand with low commitment. And so out of that, we did churn out and get a few parents based off of our summer camp. And then for the parents we didn't get, that didn't solidify a place in our schools, Impact or Kingdom Kids, they've signed on to do other things. I have one mom who loves so much what we're doing. She's now doing a Girl Scout program in our school, something I wanted, but I didn't want to commit to. So now my daughter gets to go to a very diverse Girl Scout troop with a lot of girls in it, right in our facility where it's safe, but I can step back and watch it go forth, right? In our facility. And now we have a community partnership with them. Have another mom who's my daughter's, her daughter and my daughter are friends. And we went on a play date a few weeks ago. And she said, I said, what do you do? Just, kicks and giggles. What do you do for a living? I'm a yoga instructor. Shut your mouth. When I tell you, I had been looking for yoga, but the question or the problem was when I get off work, finding one that I can go and plop into, low kind of, I'm not the best at yoga. I do what I can do, but I didn't want anything that was already high end. And then I didn't want to pay an arm and a leg. And so she was like, oh yeah, I teach classes. I charge like $10 a session. What? I'm like, well, how would you feel about coming and doing yoga at our school? Boom, win, chicken. She's now coming to do yoga on Thursday nights simultaneously while Girl Scouts is going on. So moms can participate while their girls are at Girl Scouts or not. People from off the, out of the neighborhood or the community can come in, get yoga. And see, so what I'm saying is, their kids didn't sign up for Kingdom Kids nor Impact, but they've partnered with us in some form or fashion, which is also an added benefit. And so it's creating that community that I've wanted, that I've envisioned for this building, right? And so as my businesses grew, it says God started nudging me, daughter, you can't keep being everything. And in this instance, I don't have to be the Girl Scout troop leader. I don't have to be go to find a yoga place. Someone's coming in to do that with us. We have other things that are brewing because people are seeing that I am willing to open the door. And this is all based on cheese, right? This is all based on the identity of cheese, of me saying, listen, I don't have to do all the things. Let me find other people who can help me. And in this model, I don't have to pay them. Sometimes people just come to you when you're willing to open yourself up, when you're willing to see that things will move and shift, right? And that you just have to be open to it. Let me keep going. So let me look at the book, Lessons from Who Moved My Cheese. Let's break down the 4 characters. Let's get into it. So really quickly, there's Sniff and Scurry, the mice, right? They smell change coming and they act. No overthinking, no paralysis. They just move. Okay. Keep that in mind. Sniff and scurry, they get gone, right? You have him. Think about it. Him and Ha. This is really a character. Him represents resistance. He complains. He blames. He gets stuck. Him says, "Who moved my cheese? This isn't fair." But he never adapts. You ever remember hearing people say they're stuck in their ways? That's exactly what that means. Someone who sees something change, but they won't go with the times. Oh, I like keeping my money under the mattress. I'm not using that machine. I got an aunt like that. She will go to the bank, write herself a check, get the money. Now, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. But what happens when that becomes obsolete and they no longer allow you to do that? Because we could be going in that direction. You may not have to change right away, but you have to at least be willing to look at the possibility that you may have to change, right? Ha resist at first, kind of natural, right? But eventually he laughs at his fears and takes a step into the unknown. And in doing so, he discovers new cheese. See, because what you thought moved on you might be your destination to something bigger, maybe a bigger slice of cheese, right? And so for me, if I would have remained resistant to bringing on people, which is change for me, because I'm not the end all to be all, then I would not have been prepared for what God has put on me. And that is to open up the door for more. I think that's the big thing for me. It's like getting out of my own way. And let me tell you how I did it, because we talked about money. I prayed on God. I prayed, and I can tell you after today, looking around that room, and I told my team this. I said, every last one of you are what I pray for. One of my staff members happens to be a minister, and she said, none of us are here by chance. One, I called for a reference check, ended up finding out that she was someone I needed, created a position for her to be our instructional leadership coordinator. My goddaughter moved here 2 weeks ago, created an opportunity for her to be the dean of operations, not because she's my daughter, but because she's run a program for 10 years in a school system and knows restorative justice and can do the trainer stuff. So I've been trying to articulate it, but she knows how to train it. See, I'd be selling my staff short if I was resistant to change or resistant to trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. I prayed for that. Not to mention, she knows my heart. She's grown up with me. So I can put her in front of me so I can handle other things from an administrative level, and she can deal with the parents. She can deal with the staff because she knows my heart. She's watched me from when I had my daycare at 25 years old. She knows how I roll, and she's professional. I have 2 educators that are young. I prayed for them. I say educators because I never wanted teachers. And I can go back to a podcast in April that I did. And I said specifically on there, not really interested in having teachers unless they can be able to change. And that's exactly why, because I wanted them to be able to pivot, meet those children where they are, not be stuck on the status quo and what it should be, but otherwise looking at what it can be. Because our children are possibilities. It's our job to pour into them and see what that looks like. If you're stuck in your ways and you're fixed on what you think it should be, if you stuck on that one piece of cheese and ticked off because it moved, then you missed it. And that's not what I want. So I'm not saying that older teachers or retired teachers or, I'm not saying that, but it takes a special teacher to be an educator first and not trained to just teach. So when I got 2 young educators, and one who wants to be an educator and the other who wants to be a law professor, this is great. Listen, they can stay with me for 2 years. They can stay with me for 5 years. As long as they're with me, I'm going to pour into them because I know what their long-term goal is, as long as they're pouring into my students. Here's the thing. Change is going to happen. That could include them leaving me. Prepare for it. Not going into this stuck on one piece of cheese right here. But while you're there, you're going to set the tone of what this position is supposed to look like. All right now. So so I'll say I'll be real with y'all. I had some him moments. I did. I sat there for a moment and I had to worry about, are people gonna love my kids the way I do? But when I heard everyone share what they saw this as and how grateful they were and that they prayed for this as well, like it wasn't just me praying for them, they were praying for what I'm offering. One was praying that someone would give him a chance to be an educator without having finished his degree. Another one is praying that she can bring her child to a place that is going to actually love her kid while she actually works. Most of the people who work for me or with me have brought their children to the school as well. Another one is an EC educator who is just looking for a place where she can really truly pour in and have a support staff. Well, guess what? She has a registered behavior tech sitting right next to her where they can go back and forth and make sure a child on the autism spectrum gets the sensory needs as well as the academic needs. No pressure or less pressure. It was in the pivot. It was in the change strategy that I was able to open up my heart and not guard my heart to what I thought was my idea. Yeah, God gave me the idea. But like I said to my team today, it will not go forth. And I cried, y'all. I cried in front of my staff. I did. Because what I saw the vision in action through them, and the work hasn't even begun yet because they get it. Now we know it's not going to all be great and peaches and king. We're going to have days. But even in that, one of them volunteered. He said, why don't we have a weekly check-in for us? Like they get it. And see, what I was most afraid of when I was him was that they would get the corny stuff, the touchy-feely stuff. I've always said if I was an administrator or a principal at a school, this is what I would do. So guess what? I'm being the change I want to see, literally. No pun intended, but pun intended. I'm being the change. I'm facilitating a space where we can all pour in and support. Another person said, well, we should go out weekly or monthly and do maybe team building exercises. And I'm like, I'm all for this. This is what I'm talking about. Building a village in a community where we are prioritizing our mental health, our spiritual health, so that we can continue to do the work that we're all seemingly called to do, and that is pour into our children. I have to sit back and think what would have happened had I not made the change. What would have happened? Let's go back to February. Had I not made the decision to walk away from our North Cross Huntersville location, which was a pretty cool location, but it was stifling me because I didn't have the growth capacity, right? It wasn't large enough for me to do all the things. What if I wouldn't have made that change to, on a Saturday, load up a U-Haul, make 2-3 trips, look at this great big old building that I didn't have any furniture, enough furniture to fill? Like, what if I didn't want to make that change? What if I didn't want to make the change from having a daycare center where it was lucrative and I was making good money to a school with the challenges and uphill battle, the financial constraints, the competition from other private schools, public schools, which are free, and charter schools, which are free? What if I would have just given up because after my son had his accident, it just didn't make sense? Because that was a change in our life as well. I have a son that's now 22 who's like a baby now. It's a change, and mentally it took a toll on us. But what if I would have stayed him and not Ha? Ha looked at his situation and he said, bet. And I'm going to just sit that there for a moment. Like, true transparency, sometimes you just got to say bet. And what I mean by that is, one, bet on yourself, bet on God. But then on the other hand, bet, say less. Is this what we doing? I'm taking a little ghetto, because I'm getting a little emotional. Emotional because it was the shift, it was the change, it was the adaptability that has put me in a place where I'm about to see a vision that's been down deep inside of here. I wore my shirt today that says for purpose, on purpose. Well, in purpose, on purpose, for purpose. I wear this shirt so much, it's dingy. I don't care. I'm going to wear it until it has holes in it because it says so much to me. And I didn't wear it with the intention on talking so much about it, but you know that I'm big on, talking about purpose, particularly purpose versus passion, because purpose stays longer. Passion, you can blow that out like a flame, right? On a match. But what if I would have taken all of those things that says, listen, I was getting so far, and then you moved it. Here's another one that you can look at if we don't want to talk about change. If you're a sports fan, they say you moving the goalpost again. I love that one. You move the goalpost. It's like as soon as you get that 50-yard kick, now you take it back. Dang, you moved the goalpost. Now you're making it impossible for me to make it, or am I? God never said it's not going to feel impossible, but in him, all things are possible. One of the things I tell my students, and I told my team today, I said, we do affirmations. That's that you have to do. It's not much I tell them they have to do, right? Because I want each teacher, each educator to create their classroom like a pod or its own individual school. So I call them pods, not classroom. So when you go in someone's pod, it should be, personality driven. And with that, you should make your own affirmations. But the one that I am very specific that has to be on there is I can do all things through Christ. Period. I got it tatted down the spine of my back because it's my backbone, literally. So with that being said, I talked about possible and impossible. Things that are seemingly impossible, we have to remind ourselves that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So in those weak moments, you lean not on your own understanding, but with all things prayer and supplication. Change is going to happen. That's a given. Child, let me get on here because I'm getting a little solemn, but more so emotional because it's just heavy. And when you get to that point, I guess after having 2 weeks off, y'all my people, y'all my family. This is what we talk about. After having 2 weeks off and being reflective and coming back and turning the key into this huge building. And, I had a meeting about a gaming system that's, they want to put a gaming system in my school. Someone called me today. He wanted to open up a school, but then we ended up shifting gears to talking about him putting a music program in my school. And as he does that, me developing and cultivating him, I'm noticing the change. And the change started with me. They say it starts with the top. I would have been resistant to change and saying me, I, which at one point I was, right? Because it was just easier that way, or at least it seemed that way. Would have missed the mark. And here's what I said. I said, for me, the hardest part was losing control. What if someone drops the ball? What if? This is where I am now, right? In the beginning, when I first was like, oh, no one, what if? No, they can't do it like you. But what if they do it differently and it moves the mark just as much, right? That's what we need to look at. We need to look at, okay, you may do it differently, but the bottom line is, and this is what as a leader you need to be thinking, is the goal being met? I can't stand a micromanager that says, do it this way. Certain things does have to be done in a certain way, right? But other things you can be a little more liberal as long as it meets the goal. Now, if it doesn't work, guess what you have? A teachable moment. If it doesn't cause the house to burn down or it doesn't cause something detrimental, you have a teachable moment. Because here's the thing. If it's something that is going to be so detrimental, if it fails, that's where you as a leader needs to step in and kind of walk beside them, coaching them every step of the way. Not micromanaging, not telling them how to do it, making solid and firm recommendations. And then furthermore, if it's something that is that detrimental, then it does need to be a policy. Period. a no-brainer. This is what it is. You have to do it this way. Here's an example. I tell my team to talk to parents this way. Positive first, put in the challenge, end it with a positive. I learned today that's called the sandwich method. Love it, right? So the first layer of bread is little Kenny is great. He is so, I just love having him in class, full of personality. But he talks too much. I wouldn't say that, but yeah, we have some challenges with him, sometimes talking out of line. End it with the positive. We love the fact that he is able to speak out for himself, right? So I gave a positive, kind of slid in that negative and a positive. That is you have to do it that way. You don't have to say it exactly that, but you have to do that sandwich method. Now, what words they use and things of choice, as long as they're doing positive, negative, positive, right? I'm good with that. If it's not, it'll come back to me and I will self-correct it. Not going to not defend my staff, right? Because they have to learn. But for the most part, if you give them healthy parameters, they'll succeed. All right. Fear of mistakes. What if things don't look like my standard? Once again, put the parameters in place so that the standard is set. If it doesn't work, go back in and restate, reteach, make it a teachable moment, a professional development, whatever you need to do, right? That's where all of these things come from. You do it at your job. If you're a leader now, do it on your job, the job you've created. Do it with standards, do it with dignity, do it with integrity, because now we realize why human resources does things the way they do, why they give you 1, 2, and 3 chances, why they have professional development that we think is worth nothing. Well, sometimes they are a little boring, but sometimes they do have value. All right. And that's what this goes back to. And then guilt, especially as a founder, I felt like letting go meant I just wasn't doing enough. And I felt that way until today. I have my dean of operations. She's handling all the things. Still, my office was filled with questions. At the end of the day, it's my personality. I enjoy having an open door policy. I probably won't eliminate an open door policy. It's what makes me. It what makes the school the school. My personality will always be infused there. I did set a standard that this is where I draw the line in terms of communication. After this point, we will not talk until the next day. I'll also say when my door is closed, do not knock unless it's an emergency, right? And if it is, you can go through Brittany, my dean of operations, or my instructional leadership coach, or my business manager, and they will get it to me. I'm bossing up a little bit, but no, I don't like that thing about boss, but this is leadership, right? I got to lead by example, because the same thing I'm asking of them, I won't do to them. I won't barge in their classroom and just start talking. That's your office. No. There's no entitlement here. No. Same level of respect. Okay. All right. But here's what I learned. Leadership is about creating. This is so good, y'all. Leadership is about creating the garden, not being the sole gardener. Listen, my mother used to say this all the time. You plant the seed, somebody else will come water the seed, and then after that, somebody else will come pick it. You plant the seed, water the seed, it'll grow, and somebody will come pick it, right? You don't have to do all the things. You did your part when you planted the seed. I planted it. I've even watered it. Now it's time to watch my team pick it, and guess what? I can sit down and enjoy the harvest. Isn't that nice? It is literally and verbatim the fruit of our labor. I'm enjoying that. That's so cool. And that's essentially what this is all about. When you adapt to change, you allow yourself to move forward in the process, see success for what it is, and pivot when it's kind of moved and shaken around, right? But still with the same overall goal in mind. You can and you will reap the harvest. Come on down and eat this fruit with me. All right, faith and leadership. I lean on this scripture, Ecclesiastes 3. To everything there is a season and time for every purpose under heaven. Now you heard the Bible said Purpose, not passion. I talk about it. I think I'm playing. Purpose, purpose, purpose. All right. There was a season when I had to wear every hat. I just felt like it was what I was supposed to do, right? I'm a worker. I'm a Capricorn, and I come from two parents who are workers, right? They put their head down, they get it done. It's what I saw. My grandmother, she was a worker. When I mean that lady would make a cake, go put some tiles on our roof, do the plumbing, wash clothes, do hair. I seen her do this all in 2 days. One day she's baking a cake for a wedding, and another day she at our house putting shingles up. Like, and I thought that was the norm. I thought that was the standard that I needed to go. I needed to be all things. But what I also realized is when she got in her older age, all of them people that she was doing all them things for, they weren't there. Right? So that's kind of sad to say, but you do all of this and you put all of that out there for what? Like, she could have spent time cultivating one thing and being great and leaving a legacy there, right? I'm not knocking what she did. It's great to be a jack of all trades, but we really want to be a master of one. My son said this, and I think I said it before in another podcast. He said to me one time, Mom, you got all these things going, all these businesses going. If you just focus on one thing and make it great, man, boy, you don't know what you're talking about. You're 21 years old. He was right. Cut it. You got to focus on one thing, make it great. Now you can do other things along that, right? I do children. So I have several entities that align with children work, right? But I'm not over here doing body sculpting anymore. That has nothing to do with my purpose. So we let that go. That was change. I had to make a change and stay linear. All right. God didn't call us to be burnt out. That's what happened with my grandmother. That's what happens with me when I try to do all the things, right? I'm not focused on one thing. And so therefore my mind is all over the place. Right now, guys, I'm sitting here after a 2-week vacation, after knowing I have staff. I came in this morning to work like, I got to do all these things. But guess what? Both my goddaughter and my daughter were there to collate papers, to make sure they helped me hand out papers, to bounce ideas off. It wasn't all me talking up there. It was my entire team. That's what change looks like if you get out your own way. It can be a support for you. All right. He called you to build, not be burnt out. He called you to build. And building requires trust. It requires vision. It requires letting the seeds I planted be nurtured by others. That's what happened today. I said it out there and they said, man, this is all I wanted to be a part of. What if we did this? What if we did that? Listen, they were writing on the board. I said, here you go. You can go write on the board. Could you write over here? Could you do? The next thing you know, they start volunteering. Well, I'll do this and I'll set this up. Great. Go off. Because you know what? Usually it's me doing all of that. Setting up the open house, making the phone calls, getting the food in place. Call my mother, Mom, could you be at the open house on Thursday? Because my mom is phenomenal at setting up, getting things organized and structured, making sure people are in place. My mom is phenomenal at, Mom, thanks. Because I'm not great at that. I can do it. But even when I did pop-up shops, I'll get the people there. But Mom is going to make sure it's in order. She knows where people parking. She knows which table you sitting at. That's my mother's thing. Use her for her gifts and her strengths. Stop trying to be all things. When I did that, most of my pop-up shops flowed. When my mom is not there, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. That is what I lean on her for. And she loves it. Practical steps to enhance change. I'm going to move forward. Here are some things I'm doing, and maybe they'll help you too. Reading off my list, I try to communicate early. I probably could have did a better job of that, but I still made sure I got a lot of things out to my staff when I was off for the 2 weeks. I was very liberal in that because, again, I was off and it was intentional that I shut off. But the few times I came into the office, I made sure I was productive and got a lot of information out via email. And so therefore I over communicated a lot of things. And so today was a lot easier and smoother because, again, they knew what to expect. Thank you, ChatGPT, because I put it all in there. And they were able to read it beforehand. I even got them organized with their their curriculum map. So they know exactly, okay, this is what my kids need to learn by the end of the school year. It's all set up, communicated. Set clear expectations. Same thing. This is what your expectations are. This is what's going to happen when you come to our orientation next week. Now, because they've already read Who Moved My Cheese, I was able to pivot some things and change some things around, and they were able to flow and adapt to that. Okay. Celebrate small wins. Every step forward builds confidence. And so I think today was a small win. And I rewarded them by letting them go set their classrooms up, giving them more time to just chit chat with me, where I would have probably been like, okay, guys, no, you know what? I'm going to reward you guys by saying, hey, this was a great meeting. Let's chit chat. Let's talk. Let's embrace and become one, right? Release perfectionism. Done. Good growth beats perfect stagnation. The gentleman I spoke to today kept saying, I've been trying to do this school thing for 10 years. I said, and how's that working for you? Oh, I just want it to be just right and just perfect. It's not going to be that, even if you started after 10 years and you had $10,000. You still don't have systems. You still don't have a process. You still don't have students. So the 10,000 will be gone, 100,000 will be gone. You need to get in there and start, right? So I told him, you're trying to be perfect in a world that's just not that. You got to start, okay? You got a team. You have me that can help guide you. Let me get you there on a micro level. It looks like it might work out. Keep learning. Just like Haas, staying curious and flexible. And that kind of was with the guy today. Like, he was kind of anti starting off at a program. He wanted to just bust out the door as a school. And so using him as a reference of, I just kind of looked back and laughed a little bit, like, and my spirit said, give him grace. Because I know what it feels like when you want something, right? You want it so bad and you almost want it now. But if you waited 10 years, you can wait another one. So I told him, listen, let's start small, because your small is really big, because you're not doing anything right now but putting an idea out there. But if you at least start small with a program, then we can help you develop the program, get your things in place, get you registered as a NC Works recipient, get you some opportunity scholarship stuff going, ESA, line you up. So next year, if you're ready, hopefully we can get you some keys, turn the door, and you'll have your own school. I'm not a hater, because what floats your boat don't float mine. I have my people. I have my model. I have my niche, and I'm 4 years in. If you want to do it, here's what I know. We need more schools that's niched out for children who need a little something different. You want to do a leadership academy for young men. That's not my world, but I'll help you because the need is there. And I think it's dope. But let's start off. Let's change your mindset. Let's go for which is tangible, right? And attainable. And then propel you out. All right. Change doesn't have to feel like loss. It can feel like expansion if you choose to see it that way. That's how it felt. Now I could say, I'm losing money because I got to pay all these people. But then even in that, like you pay them, they take the weight off of you, which enables you to go do other things. Like, guess what? Grant write. So now while they're doing all the things, I can sit in my office and write a grant and get more money, or get my playground redone, or get a gardening team, or pay my art guy to come in and do some art for the students. Like, now I can do some real high level programmatic stuff. Whereas if I'm doing all the small things, right, and being bogged down by those, because that is not where I should be in this season. At one point, that is where I needed to be to build and cultivate the soil, right? But now that I'm here after 4 years, the question would be like, what you doing if after 4 years you still got 4 or 5 students and 3 of them is your own, and you're teaching them all? Like, what are you really doing? At this point, you have a hobby. It was time to make a shift. It was time to change. And in doing so, bringing on teammates who want to carry that vision in their backpacks while I continue to climb a mountain is where it was at. It was a strategic move. It was the right decision to do. All right, here we go. Call to action and reflection. Here's what I want you to do. Here's my challenge for you. Ask yourself, where has my cheese been moved? What things have shifted in your life? What things have changed? And you're like, whoa, either you anticipated it or most likely you didn't anticipate it. It came, it happened, and now you're sitting here like, what in the world? Because that is life, honey. Is it in your career? Is it your family? That happened to me. Is it your business? Happened to me. Is it your relationship? Some of you got a divorce. Whoa, I didn't see that coming. Now what do? Knock me off my feet. My bad. Sorry to hear that. But here's what you got to do. Change just happened. Family member passes away. Your spouse passes away. It's unfortunate. It's a change. But you must downshift so you can shift back up. Right? It's not to say it's not difficult and it's not hard. And sometimes it feels like it's downright not fair. I feel that when I look at my son every morning. But what keeps me is knowing, one, he's alive. Two, knowing that it has propelled me to think on a high level so I can do all the things possible to financially provide for my son for the long run. And also to know the God I serve is not a God who shall lie. And so I have to lean once again on what he's telling me and keep my eyes on the hill from where my help comes from, because there are days that I get weak. But change is what it is. It's about pivoting and not chasing that same cheese. Let's go a different route now. It's just as simple as that. Ask yourself, where has my cheese been moved? Then ask yourself, am I him or am I her? Am I him like, oh God, and I get stuck in that, set in your ways, not trying to refocus, not trying to readjust, not trying to pivot? Or are you her like, okay, bet I'm stuck, but I'm about to get up out of this. I'm stuck, but I bet you I get up out of this. I have no choice. Look to them hills. Am I clinging to the old or am I laughing at fear and moving into the new? That's what Ha did. Him was clinging to what he knew. If I sat there and be like, I wish my son was walking in it. My mom sent me pictures sometimes. I'm like, Ma, that's not him no more. I literally have to be that blunt. That's not my son no more. I knew my son then, and I'm glad I got 22 years to know that dude. But this is my new son and my new normal, and I love him too. I got to love him differently. And I'm grateful that I had 22 years of that dude. He made me laugh. He made me smile. He made me want to go upside his head. But this new dude that I'm going to get back, to God be the glory. Somebody can't say that. And that's all I can say. All right. Write it down. Journal it. What are you being? Him or her? Change happened. Are you sticking to what you knew? Are you refocusing, readapting? Are you pivoting? Are you moving to the new cheese, right? Share it. Share it with yourself. Share it with your friends. Write some things down. Really look at it from an introspective place. You know it's necessary. You know it's cause-driven. You know that it's ordained, because just like Job, he got hit with a lot of change, baby. Listen, his crops, his kids. He got upset and people told him, man, walk away. He said, nah, I'm just going to repurpose, repivot, move forward. So change is inevitable. It's not going to not happen. The question is, how do we handle it? I'm going to tell y'all now, get the book. Read it. I mean, I'm not promoting them, but if y'all want to throw me a couple dollars because I keep saying who moved my cheese, do that. I'm good with that. But the point is, it's a really great read. I asked my staff to read it because, again, I knew we were going into a change state, whether it was coming into a new position, whether it's coming to a new school, like all of the above. I wanted them to be inclined to making adjustments, right? And then being able to reference that again. But at the same time, it was a good refresher for me. Like I said, I read it when I was in grad school back in 2012. And so to revisit it in this stage of life was kind of eye-opening, because one, I was how much younger then, right? And things weren't as complicated. I thought they were, right? Whew, I'll take that any day. But now coming into this new season, older, wiser, more knowledgeable, new state, right? I have to laugh because my goddaughter, when she said it, she was like, ooh, that book was so much to me. She said, because I'm literally changing. I'm changing to a new job and I'm changing to a new state because she just moved here 2 weeks ago. So it's a good read, like I said. And then listen, I got some change. I'm going back to school myself. I've been off for a little while, so I got to downshift and shift back up because school starts again on September 8th. So I'll be fresh off of class the next 2 weeks. I'll come out their class and come right here and knock my podcast off. I'll tell y'all about it because this one is going to be a good one. This course that we're about to take is going to be a good one, and it's some good books they have us reading. So it'll be real interesting to see how I'm able to change and shift in this demeanor, because on Mondays, once a month, I'll be out of commission to my staff, and other people will have to be responsible for running the show. And I'm a showrunner, so that's a change. But here we go. That's how we grow. That's how I get to get that doctorate. You got to have a team. Yo, I'm out of here. It is Break Free with T. Marie. I've been gone for 2 weeks. Back, refreshed, ready to roll it out. And I guess I'll see y'all next week.
Are you a content creator looking for a home for your movies, TV shows, podcasts, or more?